Well, in actual fact, the complaint to the ombudsman was from the Langness Golf Course Limited. So we weren't the main proponent of the complaint against Malew Parish Commissioners. However, we had a legitimate interest in the whole issue of the hotel, its dereliction. So we contributed to the whole process of the Ombudsman's review.
How did you get involved? Was it through the hotel owner's site that you got involved, or did the Tynwald Commissioner come to you?
The Tynwald Commissioner came to us to seek our views because we had been heavily involved throughout the planning process when the previous owners had submitted their planning application. So, yeah, we've had a long history of concern and obviously interest in the site because it is a very important site within Derbyhaven for us Derbyhaven residents, and we're keen to see that site is restored to its true potential, really.
So what does this society think about the report, and what did you make of it when it was published?
Well, the Ombudsman's gone to quite considerable lengths to take on board the various views and responses from the various parties. And that process has taken quite a long time. It's a very extensive report extending to over 220 pages. So, yes, I think the Ombudsman has captured anything that can possibly be said in terms of the whole process that Malew Commissioners have engaged with in terms of the core issue of the condition of the former Castletown Golf Links Hotel.
So what would you like to see the Commissioners do now with the hotel?
Going forward, the actual site has been disposed of by the previous owners, Dandara, to Langness Golf Club Limited, and we are aware that the new owners have got plans ahead to firstly deal with the actual demolition of the current hotel, and then, all being well, they will come forward with a new development proposal. As far as the Commissioner's role from this point forward, I think it's more about saying to Tynwald, there has been a very extensive report provided by the Ombudsman. Please don't let this report sit on a shelf and just be duly noted. There are, we think, some key issues that perhaps need to be taken forward. Our first concern is that the local authority has the powers under the Building Control Act to be able to deal with derelict buildings. And in this case, I think the Ombudsman has certainly criticised Malew Commissioners in terms of their general approach to the condition of the building. The Ombudsman's main concern is to consider the process that the Commissioners have undertaken when they are acting under the various legislative requirements. And certainly in our view, we think that Tynwald should review these powers and whether the local authority is actually the place for these powers to be exercised from. And the reason we say that is because we can understand from the Commissioner's point of view that there is risk attached to enforcing, whether it be improvement work to a derelict building or indeed demolition, because there is a prospect that could be challenged by the building owner. This in turn could lead to litigation in the courts, and therefore the local authority perhaps will be concerned that they don't want to expose ratepayers to that additional expense. So we can well understand their concern when they're looking at these issues. The other aspects of these cases is whether the local authority actually has the requisite skills in-house to be able to look at derelict buildings and assess their condition. Whereas, for example, in central government, there is a building control department where that expertise resides. I think the final point really, that there is also the potential for a conflict of interest on the part of the local authority, because if, for example, they are in an area where there are a large number of houses being built by a developer, they may be quite disposed to that developer because it's going to bring in rates income to the local authority. And if that same developer also has a building that they are responsible for, then perhaps they may be more inclined to not enforce the powers that are available to them. So I think these are points that we would like Tynwald to consider in terms of the exercise of these powers by the local authority under the Building Control Act. The other point that we wish to make is that the whole saga of the Castletown Golf Links extends back many years. The building itself ceased to be a hotel in 2007. Dandara acquired the building in 2011, and since then it has been a story of progressive deterioration and decline. And it is really, I think, from an Isle of Man's perspective, an embarrassment that things were allowed to get to that stage. Again, we think that even though that a developer may have future plans for redeveloping a building, that shouldn't be an impediment for the appropriate action to be taken by the body that has those powers to deal with dereliction of the building. So a pending planning application or working up plans to a development proposal shouldn't stop that action being taken, because it is a social cost to whether it be a business that's adjacent to the derelict building or indeed to an adjacent business. And that's certainly been the case with the Castletown Golf Links Hotel, where the Langness Golf Course has been continuing to operate. They've been investing in the golf course, and they've had a very dilapidated eyesore next door to them.
How do you see the report benefiting the Residents Society and the situation with the hotel? Do you see any at all?
I think the report does serve to highlight some of the issues involved with dealing with dereliction, and that's really why we call on Tynwald to take this chance to review how these powers operate. I think in terms of Derbyhaven, all being well, because we now have a new owner of the site, they have indicated that they've actually appointed a contractor to undertake demolition of the building once all of the necessary approvals are in place. So I think we can reasonably confidently say that things are now starting to move, and the eyesore at least will be removed. Thereafter, it will be down to a planning application, we assume at some stage, by the new owners to do something with that site. And this site is a really important site on the Isle of Man. It's in a very scenic area. It's got national monuments in close proximity. It's got the Marine Nature Reserve and ASSI. So it is a very important site, and let's hope that we will see an attractive hotel development coming out of it in the future that will really be of benefit to the island.
The statement that was sent through by one of your fellow members of the society says local authorities should use the powers they have to take constructive action in their communities. Is that something that you think you and the other people that went to the ombudsman have come to that conclusion of?
I think that is very much the case, that it does shine a light on the powers exercised by local authorities and when they should be used appropriately. And we would argue, certainly, that unfortunately that didn't happen in this particular instance. And that was really our reason for approaching Tynwald members to say, can you please take another look at this, because the Ombudsman's report is important in highlighting these various issues, and we hope that these can be taken forward constructively. We respect what Malew Commissioners have to do. They are a small local authority. They have limited resources, but we just do feel in this case that things didn't quite happen in the way that they should have done. The final point that we have asked Tynwald members to consider is the whole issue of the rating liability for buildings that have fallen into a serious state of repair to make them uninhabitable. And indeed, there has been a recent government consultation on this whole subject that the Society has actually responded to, but we would certainly wholeheartedly endorse the proposal that kind of relief should be removed, because it does act as an incentive, as things stand, for little progress to be made with derelict sites, because the owner doesn't have the added financial burden of paying rates.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.